tell me about the last session with Diddy. Tell me about the last session, period. Tell me nuts and bolts how you get out of it.
I can't exactly recall the last session with Diddy because here's what's funny. He actually called me because I had come home about 8 years ago. Went home to Hawaii and working on my family project. We got a family project out there. And it was about 3 or 4 months I'd been home, and Diddy calls me. He calls me, and it's like 4 a.m. out there. And he calls me. He's like, "Yeah, you around?" And I was like, and this is where it goes into, I was trying to talk to him and be like, "Hey man, you should probably come out to Hawaii sometime. You know, I got this place where there will be no paparazzi or anything." And he's just, click. And I'm like, oh yeah, he's trying to get down to business. I wasn't going to talk about doing any future services or nothing, but I wanted to possibly get him out to our property and like talk Christ with him. I know that won't work, but that was my goal.
Might work. You're in Hawaii. You get effectively a booty call from Puff Daddy. You say, "No, I'm not really doing that." But anyway, you want to come hang out and eat some pineapple? And before he hangs up on you.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. He wants to get the business. So, yeah. But yeah,
When was this?
It's probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 or 6.
So, okay, so you can't recall the last time you worked for P. Diddy.
It was, the sessions were, it was like moments like that when he would tell me, "Hey, my grandma, I know people," or, that watch. It was moments like that stuck, but it had become a process in a sense. So I don't remember like the last one, because I'm not like a numbers guy. I have no idea.
Did you quit, or did they just stop calling?
Because I had realized that this business operation was much darker than I thought. And I had a conversation with Garen about, and this, I don't want to go too deep into it, but one of the actions of one of the other gigolos was very dirty, dark. Like he was trying to plant his seeds into rich women, and I could see the game plan of what he was trying to do, in a sense, of impregnate these women and divorce them and just to screw them. And so I saw this.
And to get money?
To get money.
Yeah, okay.
To get money for himself. And this guy was a demon. This guy was a disgusting dude. A pathetic prick. And what he would do is he would abuse these women mentally, and the ladies told me the psychological abuse he used on them and the psychological games he played to have his plan come together.
They're the ones hiring him. So how can they claim to be abused by him? They're the ones in charge.
That's, what is it, Stockholm Syndrome? In a sense, like that's all I can contribute it to. But it's where, they had a connection with him, but then, I guess with time, his true intentions would come through, and then so it would get dark, and then, the ladies would tell me that he would tell them, "Hey, you have to see me. Like I'm coming. Like, you better be ready because I'm coming." And so they'd be like, "All right, like, okay." And I guess it was a sense of submission, and they just,
the sense of submission, like they were into it.
Sorta, yeah. I guess in a way too. Like even this guy was twisted and distorted, and I'm kind of just I'm the opposite. Like I love to serve. I'll do anything for you. You want me to go get this? I'll do that. Well, he was I own you, and you're gonna do this for me. I'm assuming, and those are the stories he told.
So this actually, this starts to make sense, and it helps to make sense of the Cassie P. Diddy situation too, which is, you could say in this situation, the woman could say, "I want a man to be really mean to me. That's what I'm paying for.
Yeah,
I want that."
I could see. I do see how that was. And it's one of those things. Getting into it, I never thought that a woman would want that. I thought women want to be treated like queens, princesses. But there is a side that, like, some women do like to be choked. Some women do like to get right. They like to know the man's in control.
But this is what St. Paul talks about when St. Paul says, "The things I want to do, I don't do, and the things that I don't want to do, I do." That to a modern liberal person doesn't make any sense, because you do the things you want to do and you don't do the things that you don't want to do. But that's not how human nature works. There are parts of us that are concupiscent, that just want to sin, that want some guy to beat him up, or want some for the guys want to do some gross thing with a woman. And the lower part of you can want that, whereas the higher part of you can know, I don't really want that. Mm-hmm. So how do you reconcile those things?
And so I guess that was kind of the what pushed me out the door is when I realized that this was much darker and wasn't as friendly to the women as I thought. And the relationship that the owner of the company and these ladies had when I had informed him of some of the actions of one of his men and how of this company I thought it was, and just outright wrong.
Unchivalrous he was.
Yeah, and there were things that this could like destroy the company, because what he's doing, if these women hire a good lawyer and play this out, this all could come back around. So I was trying to inform him, like, hey, you got to get rid of this guy because here's what's going on. His response was, it's business. This isn't your business. This is none of your business, and this is business. And then he was like, did you guys exchange numbers? And I was like, dude, yeah, we did. Because there were times she was on her, she wasn't doing so well, and she reached out to me, and I had a conversation with her. And I was like, I'll give you back any money you want, and I'll pay you whatever you want, because she did, we did communicate. He was like, no, we're good, we're done. I was like, all right, I'm done. I ain't gonna play this game. Once I realized that that's when I realized, like, it was for the company, it's a business, it's money. So whatever we got to do to show up more. Even if you got to degrade these women, put them down, it doesn't matter, more business. I wasn't for that.
Right, because you would hope that at some point the owner of the agency and the workers would say, well, people aren't commodities to be bought and sold.
Exactly.
People are people. But it also sheds light on the freak-offs, because I can totally understand in principle how the freak-off started. Because it's like any party. It's like the Garden of Earthly Delights. It's like, it starts out, wouldn't this be fun if we all, hey, let's all have a drink. That's fun, right? Having a drink is fun. Well, you know what's more fun than one drink is two drinks. And you know what's more fun than two drinks? By the way, that part's true. Two drinks is more fun than one drink. And then you know what's more fun than two drinks? 10 drinks. That part's not true. Actually, 10 drinks is less fun than two drinks. But okay. And you know what's fun? What if we had a bunch of our girlfriends here? That could be fun. And what if we had like multiple girlfriends here? Well, hold on. That sounds like it's more fun. I mean, 99 problems, and it's sometimes sometimes more money is more problems too. I'm learning all these lessons from rappers. But all of a sudden, you can very easily see how what started out as like more, fun, becomes hideous, tedious,
and
painful, nauseating, just gross.
And that's exactly, not necessarily exact, but that portrays my journey in that industry. It's like, in the beginning, I'm able to provide a service for these ladies. They get what they want, in a sense. They get the time spent with a man without the hassle. Hey, win-win. But as it got more into it, and more times I spent with Diddy and Cassie, it's like it devolved into, you could just feel in a sense, the spirit darken and the mood, and it was a lot more orchestrated rather than flow. It was much more dictated than in the early days.
Go to preborn.com/Knowles. This Christmas season, you could change a life. You could actually change two lives. You picture a young woman who just found out she's pregnant, was not expecting it. She's scared. Maybe she doesn't have much support. She's not sure what her options are. That is exactly who our sponsor, Preborn Ministries, is there for. They offer free ultrasounds and counseling to women facing these tough decisions. Sometimes just seeing that ultrasound and talking to someone who cares makes all the difference. If you're looking for a meaningful way to give this year, this might be worth considering. Steve Jobs, Celine Dion, Steph Curry, all unplanned pregnancies. Maybe you were too. Maybe someone you love was. Life has a way of working out differently than we expect. When a woman is facing that difficult decision, Preborn is there to help. When a woman sees her baby's ultrasound at Preborn, everything can change. It doubles the baby's chance at life. That moment often gives her the courage to choose life. This Christmas, $28 can sponsor an ultrasound. Right now, your gift is doubled through a matching grant. To donate, dial pound 250, say keyword baby, or you go to preborn.com/Knowles. It's pound 250, keyword baby, or you go to preborn.com/Knowles. This is an organization that I personally support. I encourage you to give what you can, and you get a great tax deduction for it. Preborn.com/Knowles. So the early performances were more improvised, you're saying?
It seemed, I don't know how long they had been, I know they had been seeing other guys prior to me, but it seemed a lot more fluid, early on. It seemed cordial. The spirit was softer, it seemed. But, I don't know if that was me coming in with clear eyes, in a sense.
Obviously, we've been talking about the male escort world. Is it different for female escorts? Is the experience different? The the approach, the business? Do you even know? Would you even know that, since obviously you've only been on one side of it?
Yeah, the truth is, yeah, I'm fairly clueless. I didn't interact with too many female
They didn't work at your
workers.
company,
Yeah,
right?
we didn't work. Even our guys, I didn't see any of the other guys on the team. We didn't hang out much. It just was a straightforward business operation in a sense. He tells us time and place, and we show up. Yeah, I would like to try to understand it from a woman's perspective, but I haven't had a sit down and chat. But I would like to try to understand it. And my assumption would be, especially in that scene in LA, seeing like how one thing I didn't realize attention was such a drug, and so
Wow.
that was one thing too with this. I didn't necessarily get that high from attention, but of course it does feel good to be wanted or appreciated by a woman and such. But I do believe the attention along with the money has a large factor to play for a woman.
Now, all of these experiences you've been describing with Diddy it seems like it was more private. It was just you at their house or the hotel or something. Were you ever at the infamous freak-offs?
No, I never attended any of the freak-offs.
That's good.
I'm very grateful because I'm the type too. If there's a party, I like to party, but I'm also very respectful of my own sexual ways. So, I mean, I'm glad I didn't. Because who knows what would have happened at a Diddy party. But yeah, I never was. Only me, him, and her. No bodyguards. None of that. It was just, it was
Oh,
just
wow.
us.
No.
Yeah. It was just us.
Did you ever, because I know at the parties, he hired female prostitutes too, or at least that was alleged. But there were no female prostitutes involved in your experience.
Yeah. Well, and that's like,
Wow.
I couldn't understand it. I didn't understand how, but the guy said I was much different than their circle. So that's why
I could see that.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that. But wow, so you actually had a closer, more intimate look at their dynamic and his perversity than really just about anybody.
I can't confirm, but
The guys at the freak-offs, though, there's like 1,000 of them. For you, it's just you, him, and her.
Yeah, every time. Yeah.
Outside of Diddy, was it always just these intimate little escort dates, just one woman, or were you invited to other Hollywood parties? And how different was the Diddy experience and the Diddy empire from your run-of-the-mill clients?
I would say just as far as like production goes. So it was like so the other dates, I'd go out, we'd go see the town, have fun, and then it would end up, at an intimate setting. There, it was always a production. Every single time was for that scene, that point in time. I was there to do my duty. There was one time I got called at night and then called back again at 6 a.m. So I didn't know what was going on, but I don't know if they had a party in between or what. But I was
maybe they slept,
possibly
got rested up, and then
yeah.
And you just take the call.
Yeah, text or call. If he texts, you available this hour, this time? A-listers show up, and the payment. I'd go to the bank, send him his payment, and cycle repeats.
When you say the scene, what with Diddy and Cassie, it sounds like, and then you say they were dictatorial, and you do this. Was it a performance like, okay, you're the pizza boy now or something, or was it how directed, how scripted was it?
I was going to try to propose that to Diddy one day, that because I'm not a white angel, but I'm white and I'm a lot softer than him. So I was going to try to propose a setting where her and I are having dinner, and we get a little flirty, and he gets to do his thing and watch, and then he comes in as the demon and control the situation. But we never. I never was able to bring that up or anything because it was all his direction. If every scene was completely controlled and set up by him. So if we tried to introduce anything, it just whatever he wanted. More baby oil, candle here, like not hundreds, like 50, 60 candles set up.
When you say, you use this term angel and demon, you mean like in the scene that you had written for yourself, you would literally play an angel?
I'm the nice guy. I'm like the soft guy having a fun, or a
And he's the bad
flirty-
guy.
And he's the bad guy, yeah, coming in and owning the situation, and then, because that was the scene I'd playing out in my head, you know, I'm there taking direction, but I'm not him. I'm not the one to say, I want this, I want this. So that was kind of was trying to elaborate with them and just grow our situations. There was a time I proposed to her, hey, just, if you want me to come over, just send me a word. Like work or tie or fly, and I'll bring an outfit or something in correlation. We'll have fun. Well, that never really went anywhere. They just call me, all right, here this time.
Yeah.
This.
I take it, you spoke to Diddy once since, when he called you when you were in Hawaii. Have you talked to her at all?
No.
This is a question from ignorance of like pop culture. Are they still dating?
I don't know.
I think they're probably broken up,
yeah.
right? I would hope so.
Yeah, a long time gone, yeah. She's got a husband now and some kids, and
Oh.
yeah. And I do believe it was one of her personal trainers that became her husband. And he was at, I saw a clip where he was at one of the cases and he got walked out or something. I forget why, but, and that's, I wish the absolute best for him, you know, to be able to move on and from what she experienced and to have a family, it's a beautiful thing.
So then what about, because you've got this very nice sort of resilient spirit where you're kind of looking on the bright side and saying, oh, that was a mistake.
I do a lot, yeah. I tend to look on the bright side of things, yeah.
But you don't want to paper over bad things. You want to learn from your mistakes and go on have that be sanctifying and productive. So is there, if you look back, there's this thread of you're a people pleaser, and is there anything that led you to become a gigolo that you have corrected so that you get to go in a better direction moving forward?
Yeah, like I'll gauge challenges and opportunities now instead of just jumping head in. I'll have to do how does this sit spiritually? You could I could simply look at the 10 Commandments and help me simplify my game plan.
You're going to church, I take it. Or no?
Devout Christian, but that's a long story behind that one. That's been out of my church for some time now, but I will always love and serve God.
But you don't want to go to church?
It's a long story there. Long story with my home church and the things.
What about a new church? I can highly recommend the Catholic Church. It's very great. Latin Mass is beautiful.
Yeah?
Yeah, I could even make you a recommendation in Hawaii. They're not on the big island of Hawaii. But I'm sure I could find one. I'm sure I could. Because I'm not just saying this to...
I'll take advice, absolutely.
Yes, but, I'm not just... because what I fear from your story is you tell me, I made these mistakes, but hey, I learned from it, and it was better, and I thought it was good at the time, which is an admission that sometimes our judgment gets very clouded. And so you say, but I'm Christian. I felt I was Christian at the time, and I felt I was serving God at the time, but I guess I wasn't. And so then you have to ask yourself, well, how do you know if you're serving God now in the way He wants to? Mm-hmm. And there are certain things you can do that God tells us to do, that Christians have done for 2,000 years, and that the ancient Israelites did before that, which are, He tells you to go to church, tells you to keep holy the Sabbath day. He tells you to, gives you 10 Commandments. He gives you a church. Before He even gives you a Bible, He gives you a church, which creates the canon of the Bible. And the church can guide you. And basically, you don't have to do it all on your own. You can have some help here. There are all these wonderful resources.
That's when I struggle. I struggle to ask for help, man. That's one of the things in my spirit. I hate to. That's one of my things. I struggle to ask for help.
But isn't that the very same kind of disordered desire for independence that maybe you saw even in your clients in your old life? The desire to do it all on your own, make your own world all your own, just have it be all about all you.
Yeah.
Even if you want to do good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. That's a hill I'm trying to climb and overcome. That's one of my piece to my puzzle I'm looking to figure out. I know I'll never figure it out, but I know I need.
No, you might figure it out. And I say it too because though I've never been a gigolo or invited to any Diddy parties or anything like that, but I can sense in myself sometimes a disordered desire for independence. Look, I work in politics and media. There's a desire to control things, do it your way, get your will done. And sometimes I have to correct that and say, oh, maybe that's not.
See, my battle with the church right now is that when during the COVID times, I thought it was, I did not like closing the doors. I wanted
Yeah,
to move in faith. I wanted to be a shining light for those. When fear hits you, we can lean on our faith.
Oh, yeah.
And how I was hoping if it was just my pastor, I wanted to be up there with him. If everyone was afraid to come in, let's open the doors for all who are willing. And how I saw it is like, if it's part of our plan to die, God's in control of that. We're not in control of that. And then so see too, like from what I had seen in my experience with the media, the doctor, the dean of medicine, I saw that these narratives are used to control us.
Yeah.
Like, like did a little digging on, why do we have such a in the early days of COVID going into it, why was there such a scare for toilet paper? Oh, because the media saw that they can sensationalize a story when there was an 18-wheeler, I think it was in Milwaukee or something, that had overturned. And so there was pictures of toilet paper all out on the road. So they sensationalized that, take it nationwide to get everyone to be under this control of this fear.
Yeah, there was a real promotion of servile fear. And you're right, there were a bunch of churches and religious communities that closed. We luckily, I was able to keep going to church. Though there were Protestant, Catholic, a lot of churches kind of, but even there was a pretty liberal Catholic church in Hollywood that they ended up doing mass outside and you couldn't go inside. They kept the doors open, but they all, and there was this probably 90-year-old priest who, and kind of a liberal guy for being a Catholic priest, 90-year-old guy. And this guy was hearing confessions through an open door in the back. He wouldn't stop hearing confessions, even though he was the most vulnerable, actually, being an older guy. And he wouldn't. I thought that's exactly the right attitude. That's exactly, you have to. You don't want the servile fear that of this whole world that you're just, this fetid, corrupt world that you're describing. But you do want the holy fear of God.
Yes.
Where it's not just about. It's not just about you.
And that's where I want to have my own personal battles. I respect and love my pastor that he closed the church because he didn't want anyone to get hurt. That he was worried because people around him were getting sick and such. But I don't like that.
And he shouldn't have closed the church.
I don't like that.
You could say he had the best of intentions, but he did wrong.
And that just
that's no reason not to go to church. Go find a better church.
You're 100% right. You are right.
I can give you some recommendations maybe in Hawaii. But that's really wonderful. I mean, it's a virtue, that you look on the bright side of things. And if you can pair that with reality, not just a delusional kind of bright side, but if you can pair seeing the good in things while seeing things really as they are, that's a wonderful way forward.
That's where this journey, in my Christian walk, I struggle to read the Bible because I have ADHD. My attention doesn't last very long. I read about 2-3 pages and I'm almost sleepy. But I would read scriptures, of how, like, in a sense, the doctor, I saw him in a position of respect and adoration where what he says should be true. But when you see what he's really doing, he's a disgusting liar.
Yeah, there can be a lot of disillusionment because even with pastors and priests, they can be totally.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Where I was going to is as I got deeper into the Word, I would read about the false Pharisees and the false those in the church that may use their position and such in order to deceive. Just as, like, I take this example too. My worldly vision of Satan, this big, orange, ugly demon, scary guy.
Horns.
Orange horn. No, Satan is the most beautiful angel our eyes can see. He is the most gracious sounding. He's,
tempting.
Very tempting.
Yeah.
And that is the tool right there, is the deception.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. There was an ancient heresy called, is that Docetism? I think it was Docetism, which said that the efficacy of the church's sacraments depended on the sanctity of the priest. So if the priest were a bad guy, if you got baptized by a bad guy, well, maybe your baptism isn't valid. And happily, that was rejected as heresy because God is bigger than the men who run the church.
Exactly, yeah.
So you could be baptized by some total degenerate who's who's maybe hiring guys like you used to be, but God's sacraments still work.
Yep, and God, and that's where I struggle. Is I know that God knows the true intentions of the heart and such. I don't, and so in those situations where I may assume, because there are times where people at our church were telling us to wear masks and do these things, and I saw that as that's the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
We just don't, like, you don't see it. Like, how can you not see it? It's not like
you're not
getting 666 on your forehead, but you are succumbing to the fears of nonsensical
if you're doing
fears.
something that's totally irrational, that's not actually helping public health, it's just a fear symbol, then yeah, you're probably right about that. I also want to correct myself. I don't think it's the Docetists. I think it's the Donatists. But either way, it's an old heresy and it isn't true, and we got rid of it. That's good to. It's good to It's good that even in the depths of your sin, you were recognizing God is still there. But of course, then you gotta do something about it as you're doing.
Action instead of just talk about it and say it. Yeah, I got to get to action. And this is why this is one of the reasons I haven't been to my church in so many years. Is that I don't want to go in and turn tables, but because
you don't have to. You don't need to be in control. Maybe just go to a different church.
Yeah.
At least at first. Yeah. Maybe you can go back to your old church, but you don't need to save the world. God already saved it.
That's a key.
Christ
right
already
there.
saved the world.
Yeah, that's key right there. It's like many times, like, I always want what's best, but like I can't make every situation best.
You can cooperate with God's grace.